Wonderful. I made it on time. I really didn't think I was. Thank you guys for bearing with me. I'm
Oh
the
yeah,
worst.
no, you're good. You're right on
Absolutely,
time.
you are good.
Cool. Yeah. Well,
Well,
let's
our
just jump into
schedule is
it.
just, like all over.
Oh yeah, story of my life. Yeah, let's just jump into a little background. We're really excited to talk to you. What are your pronouns? Just so I'm aware.
She, her.
Cool. Sweet. Just want to check. And then, so yeah, do you want to like start by just jumping into talking about your background, whether you want to talk about it more creatively or growing up, or were you raised with art, or did you just come into it on your own?
Oh man. Let's see. My very first memory of like doing art was I want to say like middle school. I had the coolest art teacher. His name was Mr. Gonzalez, and I was just so in love with him. He was just so energetic and full of life, and just had all of these really cool prompts. And I just really loved his class, and I took it every single year as often as I could, as often my schedule would allow it. And then when I went from middle school to high school, it was hilarious because just coincidentally, he happened to be transferring from my middle school to the same high school that I was going to. And so he was literally my art teacher throughout all of my middle school years and all of my high school years, which I thought was really cool. And so ever since then, I guess I've just been doing art on and off like my whole life. Obviously, went to college and like got a job and, all those things, had my son and all of that. And so I kind of took a break from art, and I doodle here and there, but nothing like serious. And then let's see, I want to say like 3 or 4 years ago, I started taking it a little bit more seriously, where I would dedicate more time to just perfecting my skills, my crafts. I would draw at work all of the time. And then in, let's see, May of 2019, I had the opportunity to do my very first mural. And at the time, I was working as a college advisor. And during that week, I was like, this is what I want to do with my life. This is what I've been searching for. And literally, I quit my job that week, and I've been doing art full time ever since.
Wow, that's amazing. I love that it just happened like that, and you were like, this is it.
Yeah, it's crazy. Super like off the whim, but like, I don't know. I have no regrets.
So you did, throughout high school, middle school, and all that, and even after, you did smaller based work, obviously, before kind of jumping into public art and muralism, correct?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Did a lot of digital art.
Cool.
Started painting canvases. Entered in art shows as often as I could. But I want to say like end of 2018, beginning of 2019 was when I was like, oh, I can actually really do this. And so I started taking it a lot more seriously. And yeah, when I started painting murals, I was like, oh, this is what I want to do
Oh
forever.
my gosh, I love it. Yeah. So you do like the digital, the canvas, mainly focusing on muralism now, but do you find that your creative process, like it's kind of tweaked or different for any of those things? Or not really?
No, not really. I feel like I'm super I love doing digital art because that's really where I started. I started drawing like on my iPad, and that's where I guess like the beginning of my process is. It's where all of my pieces start, is on my iPad. Even if I'm doing a canvas, like I always like to map it out and have a plan. It's like my sketchbook essentially. Like it's where my ideas come together. And so I'll always start something on my iPad, and then eventually it transfers to a canvas or a wall or something like that.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
When you made that transition kind of did it just fall into your lap basically? Did you get a cool opportunity to do a mural and then jumped into it and basically just ran with it?
Yeah, literally. My best friend now, he 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 was actually the one who had the opportunity for the mural, and he was like, I just feel like your art would be way better in here. Like you do portraits and I really don't. He's like, do you want to check out the space? And I was like, yeah, of course. So checked out the space, and it just happened to be a good fit, and it was really cool that he was able to pass that on to me.
That's super cool. And
Yeah.
so it was a portrait based mural, that first one?
Yeah, it was it's a smoke shop off of West Colfax in Denver, and it has, I want to say one, two, three, there's like eight different portraits in like this one big room. So it was a really big, like, I guess, mural opportunity for my first mural. Is super intimidating. And at the time I was painting with brushes. I wasn't even painting with spray paint at that time. And so it took me about a week to do. And yeah, it was all portraits. It's Erykah Badu, um, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Lauryn Hill, Ali, I want to say Oprah, and Nelson Mandela.
That's awesome. So you did all those portraits?
Yeah.
Wow. That is a task for your first mural. That's really impressive.
Really, thank you.
Yeah, like your portraiture in general is super, super awesome. I really like that you mix, it's like very realistic in certain ways, but then you're throwing in all these cool abstract elements and colors, and there's really cool contrast.
Yeah.
Is there like a reason that you would sometimes go like more the black and white route versus like the all color? Cause you kind of do both, or is there any inspiration behind that? Or is it just kind of what you're feeling for the space and everything?
I think it's more just like a feeling for the space, what my schedule allows and what my client wants. Maybe like if it's a budgeting issue, black and white is definitely like a more realistic option. But really it kind of depends on the circumstances.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. Also, I was kind of scrolling through your Instagram, just looking at your stuff, and I noticed there was like a grouping of portraits at some point kind of further back. We could actually, Inez, if you want to pull up our Insta and scroll down, where there's really blank, like emotionless eyes, like totally white. And I just thought it was such a cool and interesting contrast to, you have very expressive eyes in a lot of the other portraits. I was just a little curious about, was that just a little, chunk of time, like a project you were working on that was like that? Or is that something that you still play around with kind of?
Yeah, it was definitely a chunk of time. I think maybe just something that I was going through. I think that there's definitely a reason why I did it. A little bit more personal. Just shit that I was going through. Sorry, excuse my language.
You're okay.
Just emotionally trying to find myself as an artist. Also, on the front end of that, I always felt like when you're an artist, you see so many incredible pieces by one artist, and you can automatically tell who it is, right? And you're like, oh, that's a Detour piece, or like, oh, that's Miss Me. Like, you automatically know who it is. And for me, I've always, I guess, struggled to find my place, my identity. So along with what I was going through, this is something that I kind of did. And anybody who saw the white eyes was like, oh, that's Chelsea. Like, that must be a Lewinski piece. And then I found like I found like I was kind of boxing myself in, and so I wanted to just expand and evolve as an artist, and so I kind of grew away from that. But yeah, it was just a phase, if you will.
Yeah. Oh, we all go through phases. Do you generally, I mean, I guess it probably goes back to what we were just talking about, what the client wants, what the space might dictate and stuff, but do you have a process for, deciding maybe what portrait subject you're going to want to do?
Yeah. And again, this definitely goes back to the client that you're working with. Sometimes you're blessed with an amazing client who's just like, do whatever you want. And then at that point, I definitely go to my sketchbook and I'm like, all right, what have I been working on? What do I want to put out there? And again, it kind of goes to like, what are you going through in your life as an artist, and what do you want to express? And like, it goes to that too. But if you have a client that is looking for something specific, obviously you have to kind of
cater it to them. They're the ones who are paying.
They're the ones who have to see it every day,
Yeah, totally. Cool. Well, I'd love to pull up just a couple of the murals that you've done and maybe just hear a little bit about what you have to say about them, just straight from you. We can start with the one that you did for Streetwise for us. And that was a collaborative, right? But with you and two other artists. Yes. And yeah, maybe like pointing out, I'll have, pull it up and go through the slides, pointing out what parts you did. And also, I'm just curious, I'm someone who really loves doing like individual art and also collaborative art. So I love hearing kind of what people, what are the differences for people? Like, is there a preference in like the more community collaborative stuff? Or is it nicer just to kind of like tune in and do like what your vision is, and just like the merits of both, basically.
Yeah. So for this one, we wanted, it was Streetwise's first year, and with activism and art, we wanted to do two strong young females doing great work for our country, and so we picked Autumn and Greta, and this was definitely a collaborative. Um, I guess decision. We all came together before, and we were like, all right, who's really moved us, and who's doing really great work, and who does the world need to hear about? And so, yeah, we picked these two young ladies, and the quote is, "Grow Love" picked that quote from Greta, and then the two faces at the end were the Designosaurus. So we each had our portions of the wall, and we kind of just ran with it.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. Because then also the Babe Walls mural, is that the Georgia O'Keeffe one, if I'm not mistaken? That one was also collaborative, correct? With a couple other.
Yeah, again. And this one, I'm trying to, man, this one was a wall that was in the works for a long time. So I'm trying to remember how we came about painting her. I think just because it was Babe Walls, and she's a famous female painter, and we wanted to highlight somebody who's made waves in the art world, and she definitely did in New York back in her day. And we went back and forth with painting her as like her younger self versus when she's older, and we decided to go with this one just to paint her in like all of her wisdom and all of her experience with life. And yeah, I really loved this wall. This was a fun one.
I love it. It's beautiful, the colors and the contrast. So did you do obviously the portrait, and then did you do any of the flowers surrounding her too, or?
No, I did just the portrait. Ashley June did the flowers, and then Taylor Herzog did the abstract line work, and the green and blue abstract work there on the left.
At this point, were you already working with spray paint, or was it still just brushwork?
No, this was spray paint. I started spray paint September 2019. And then everything after September, I think, is pretty much spray paint.
Spray paint is so impressive. Was there like a big learning curve for you in terms of switching over from brushes?
I think that because I started out digitally, and then I eventually evolved to brushes, it helped me to understand how to layer colors and how to blend parts of the face. And I don't think that I would be good at spray painting had I not had such a strong foundation with brushes. And so I don't want to say it wasn't difficult, but it definitely came naturally to me, and it's definitely my favorite medium now. And I don't know, I completely fell in love with it. I did it every single day until I felt like I was as good as I was with brushes. And now it's hilarious because I'm coming back to my studio work and I'm like, man, I suck at painting.
Your hands are just used to this. They're like,
I haven't painted with brushes for so long. And so now that I'm getting back to my studio work, I'm struggling a little bit, you guys. Like, it's not good.
Yeah, man, that's funny. I can relate to that though. You step away for too long, and like it is like riding a bike to an extent, like you get back into it, but it's always going to take that adjustment period for your brain and for your hands and everything to like collaborate again.
Yeah. I always tell people like it's a muscle at the end of the day. Like, you work out every single day and you get stronger and stronger. And it's same thing with painting. They're like, oh, well, how did you get so good at spray paint? It's literally, I did it every single day for like a year.
Yeah.
And so like, obviously you do something over and over again, you're going to get really good at it. And I didn't paint on a canvas with brushes for so long. And so it's just a thing I need to remind myself to work out,
Yep.
different parts of your brain and all of that. So
yeah, well, so speaking kind of in that same breath of like coming back to something after it's been a while and maybe it feels a little weird, we were reading about the fact that you had that crazy accident during Crush Walls, the scooter accident, and you broke your wrist with the hand that you use, I assume. Yep. So that must have been an emotional roller coaster. How long was that recovery period? How long were you not able to make art in those senses? And also, I love that the community came around you and really rallied, and there was like a GoFundMe and like even just the moral support. Like I think it's the sweetest thing, and that's where like community just feels so good, right? You're like, this means something, and I mean something, and everyone means something, and we all care. So yeah, I bet that was just a roller coaster to go from like I can't make art, but like wow, my people really are behind me.
It was a bittersweet for sure. I one had just never felt more supported in my career, and I think that was the point where I was like, I don't know, I was floored and emotionally overwhelmed that so many people, I guess, cared about my career. And Westwood put out an article about me breaking my hand, and I thought it just blew my mind that I was like, what? Like Westwood is writing about a broken arm. Like people break their arms every single day. And it just blew my mind. And I'm just super grateful that again, people are looking to me as a leader, a member of the community that is doing things in the city. And I guess I just never realized I guess at what capacity that was until that happened. And it was really beautiful. I had so many people reach out to me and bring me food and like cook for me and just all of these things. And it was really beautiful. But also at the same time, on the flip side, it was also a really dark time for me. I had again done art every single day for two-ish years now, and it became my life. And so when that was taken away from me, I don't know. I literally didn't know what to do with myself, and I sat on the couch. I was going through like a really dark depression, and it made me question like who I am outside of art. And I don't know. It was. I want to say, like, looking back at it now, I definitely feel like it was needed because I feel like now I have just a stronger sense of myself and my character. And it definitely brought a lot of new things to light in my art as well. And I definitely don't take it for granted. But yeah, it was about, I want to say 3 months that I was out completely. I had a plate and 7 screws put in. So I literally had to learn how to reuse my hand. I did physical therapy for a long time. And I mean, it was to the point where like I literally couldn't click a pen. Like I just had no function in my hand at all. And so now like it's definitely a lot better. There's still a lot of things that I can't do. So like this is about as far as I could go here. So like there's definitely still like things that I can't do, but it's only been, I don't know what, 4 or 5 months now.
Yeah.
So I'm working through it.
Yeah. Did you find other ways to facilitate your creative urge at all while you couldn't be actively making with your hand?
I went left for a little bit. I painted with, I decided to try oils. So I drew and painted with my left hand. I did this piece here. I don't know if you can see it, but.
So that's with your left hand?
Yeah.
That is really amazing.
That's incredible.
Thank you. Yeah, and the process was like, I don't know, it's just something like I struggled through that piece, and like looking back at it now, I'm like, dang, that is pretty good. But at the time I was so hard on myself that I was like, oh, why can't you do what you could normally do? And like I saw what I wanted to do, but I physically couldn't do it. And so I don't know, again, you learn so much about yourself when you go through things like that.
Yeah, totally. And I imagine like if you're using your non-dominant hand, it's probably kind of cool to use like paint or something you can like push around, instead of like a pencil or like trying to write or something, that's like very concrete.
Yeah, exactly. And then as soon as my cast came off, they were like, yeah, you can, as far as you can push to move it is going to be the best therapy for you. So as soon as they allowed it, I was trying to hold on to brushes and stuff. And they gave me these little pencil grippers, which I still have now because I couldn't close my hand.
Yeah.
Like it was like I literally had to wedge something in. And so I was drawing like this, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, so they gave me a bunch of tools to work with that would help me essentially paint. So I want to say like 2 months after surgery is kind of when I was starting to get back into working with my right hand.
Cool. And since then, basically you were mentioning you've kind of just been more back in your studio, not doing anything big right now.
Yeah, I did. My most recent piece that I did was the Bob Marley one. That was my very first piece back since breaking my arm, and that was spray paint with my right hand.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even really think about the fact that it's like such a you're using a mechanism, and it must be so hard for the entire hand to do that.
It's crazy because I definitely noticed like I have to go a lot longer. Like I'm not as fast as I used to be, obviously. I had to take like a lot of breaks in between. Just like even the weather, just like the cold on here with all of the metal in my hand affected the way that I painted. And so and again, it's just one of those things where you have to learn to be patient with yourself and realize like it's only been 5 months post surgery, like you'll get it back, it's going to take some time. So
Yeah, balancing that like patience with that eagerness to just do it again, right?
eagerness.
Patience, it's rough.
Yeah.
Cool. I'd love to jump into just talking a little bit about a couple of your other murals that we have pulled up. You did the really great Breonna Taylor one, and then the one with Lady Justice Brewery as well, the 3 portrait. And basically, if you'd like to talk about those, and we can pull them up so the viewers can see, and also just like where you stand with, public art, art in general, but public art especially, kind of being this like vehicle mobilization for marginalized communities, whether it's through the making of it yourself, or the fact that people are going to see it and view it in a less barriers than in like a museum or in a gallery.
Yeah. I really love this wall. I feel like during this time, it was so cool to see so many business owners want to help to support this movement. And for this particular one, I was working with a gallery, and this is a gallery on West Colfax. And I was just essentially looking for space to again to support the movement and to support Breonna Taylor's case. And I think that we all wanted to see this type of message being screamed out loud, and people needed to know how many of us do support this movement, and how many of us are. I mean, it's this whole, I don't know, last year was rough for all of us. And so just thinking about it now, it just makes me emotional. But I was willing to paint any victim, anything that I could to support. I was out there painting because, again, it's just such an important thing for people to drive by and see, and for business owners to have a voice too. Like a lot of business owners were reaching out and saying, okay, what can I do to at least either whether it's donating or whether it's putting up murals. And for artists, like that's how we use our voice. And so again, it was really cool to have so many business owners reach out and say, hey, I need a mural. What can I do?
Yeah, I love that, because it just speaks so much more volume than just having like a little sign in your window or something. Like to have something creative that you can see and feel the like blood, sweat, tears, the energy, whatever went into it, and that still like really holds that message true, is definitely meaningful work.
Agree.
Yeah. And then we can pull up that other one too that I love at Lady Justice. Where is that brewery? I don't know if I read. Is that here in Denver?
It is, yeah. It's in
Okay.
Aurora.
Okay.
This is on East Colfax.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in Aurora by the People's Building. This is definitely one of my favorite murals. Lady Justice Brewery, I don't know if you've read up on them, but they are women who started this brewery to give back to women and children in the community. So all of them all have full-time jobs still. This is literally something that they do on the side, and like all of their profits essentially get put back into the community. So just what they do is beautiful. How they support the community is amazing. And I got linked with them through the Colfax Canvas Mural Festival, and last year was the first year for them too. And so one, it's really cool to see so many different cities pursuing, I guess, mural festivals and just trying to have more of an art district in each of their cities. And so this festival is really cool. And this mural has just been so popular to the community, and Lady Justice has such a strong group of following of people, and again, women in activism and women who make waves, and that's essentially what this mural was. And we just released a whole merch line that has been very successful, and you can actually purchase all 3 of these images, or all image as one together.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, so yeah, you can click on Lady Justice Brewing. Oh, go back up. Oh, yeah, and then click on Lady Justice Brewing. And
oh, cool. That's awesome.
This was definitely a fun line to collaborate on too. And this is actually, I guess, my first big merch release. I have not done merch ever before in my career until recently. So.
Well, that's cool. I think that's awesome. And that's like just an extension of the work, kind of. I mean, obviously it's public art if it's on a wall, if it's on a street, or whatever. But I mean, what we decorate our bodies with, how we present ourselves out in the world by wearing things like that, by tattoos, by all these things, it's basically an extension of public art. I mean, you're wearing it, people see it, they recognize it, they don't, all
it's
these
such
different
a cool feeling too, like just being able to branch out into different areas with your art. Like at the end of the day, you're designing clothes, and it's just such a cool thing to be able to do. I never thought that my art would be able to extend into those type of areas. And as an artist, you have to get creative and think of ways to sustain your income and all of those things. So it's been fun to kind of explore that side, and I'm definitely excited to be able to do this with hopefully a lot of my murals and the companies that I collaborate with. I definitely try to build a relationship with my clients. That way it's not like, all right, I'm painting a mural, thanks, bye. Versus like, how can we build on this? How can we get you guys content? How can we continue to support your business and support myself as an artist? And again, just building that relationship. And Lady Justice is definitely a strong example of that. We've built a really great relationship since that mural, and just kind of always looking in different ways to support each other. We did a beer collaboration, which was really cool. And again, it's just like sharing networks. So like,
yep,
people who are fans of myself are now aware of Lady Justice, and vice versa. They're now fans of my work. And I don't know, it's just really cool to be able to support each other in that way.
Yeah. And that's what's so beautiful about any kind of, more underground art niche in that way, is like the cross-pollination, the collaboration, making things happen that you would not have probably thought of on your own. But when you get a brewery involved, like, so, it is creative in a way, but not inherently in that visual way. But then you can mix all these ideas, and you just got to get creative with how you can present things out there.
Exactly.
I love that. One question I had, I feel like I read on a couple of things that you have gone and done murals in other places, like San Francisco and a few other places. For you, does it just feel different to like get to a place that is not necessarily home and to create there? Like, cause you're making something that the residents of that place are going to connect with now. And that's like that's just pushing the boundary, right? So is there a difference between, creating here in the community that with the people and like that home feeling, and then also the away feeling of going somewhere new?
Absolutely. I was born and raised here in Denver, and so I can go anywhere in the city and paint and feel comfortable enough to not only speak to my art, but speak to the neighborhood and know what's appropriate for what neighborhood. And so when you go to a different city and you try to build roots there, I think it's really important for as an artist to do the legwork and do your research and find out what neighborhood is what, and figure out who, I guess, I don't want to say stamp of approval, but at the end of the day, like you do want to have like the locals' blessing to paint in their neighborhood, and want to make sure that you're putting up things that are respectable to that city. And so when we started going to San Francisco, it wasn't like, all right, we're here, let's paint. And it wasn't like that. We had to network, and we had to find people who knew of the art scene there. And that's what we did. We ended up meeting a gallery owner who happened to run the whole Lilac Mural alleys, which is like 15 blocks of just murals, which is so crazy. And so she knew everyone and every artist. And so that's kind of how we got connected out there. And even now we're still building roots out there. I've been out there a few times. I've painted twice out there, and still working to kind of build roots there, and I'll be definitely be back there this year. And right now we're doing the same thing in Las Vegas. So we've traveled out to Las Vegas, I want to say 3 times now. And just now we're going back next week. And just now are we finally starting to meet people and network. And it takes a few times to go out there and meet people. So we have a few leads. I'll be working with another brewery out there, as well as bar owners. And my close friend is working with Area 15 on an immersive world out there. And so it's really cool to like be able to expand. And at the end of the day, that's why I did this, is like I wanted to be able to travel and paint and travel. And that's literally all I want to do with my life at the end of the day. So being able to, I guess, put forth that effort is really cool. And I don't know, I feel really lucky.
Yeah, that's awesome. Painting and traveling. I mean, that just does sound like the dream.
It's literally a dream.
And it's just so cool because like what we were just talking about with that cross pollination of, other industries and stuff, and it's all, it all bleeds together, but to even push that in the physical sense and to go to another state or another city, and how you're saying you're beginning to build, roots, putting roots down in a way in these new places, meeting all the artists there. I mean, that has to be so inspiring because
I don't think that artists, I don't want to speak for every artist, but if I could get a message across to artists who are just starting out in their careers, and heavy emphasis on traveling, because that's how you expand. And I don't think that you're able to fully evolve if you're not absorbing different cultures and different neighborhoods and different art districts. At the end of the day, you're gonna only grow as big as your fishbowl, right? And so if I stay here in Denver, like this is all I'm gonna know. And by traveling, I'm opening my eyes and experiencing different art, different cultures, different neighborhoods, and that's essentially, again, how I want to evolve as an artist.
Yeah, totally. Have you ever, I'm sure you have, but have you ever considered pushing it even further someday and doing like international stuff? Like there's so many cool cities that are just, like Bogota in Colombia, Valparaiso in Chile, like these places that are like street art meccas where all these people are coming and doing really cool work. And I bet that's on the horizon.
I am working on, I've traveled out of the country as a kid, but I've not traveled as an adult nor as an artist. And so I'm working on getting my passport literally as we speak.
Yes.
I've heard of some opportunity in Mexico that I want to pursue. And so, yes, absolutely. That's definitely going to be in the books for 2021.
Oh, awesome. Cool. Well, yeah, I guess we should probably start wrapping up time-wise, but I'd love to finish kind of with sort of what we were just talking about. But aside from what we just talked about, any cool, exciting future plans? I know you just said the Vegas thing sounds really dope. Getting the passport, super exciting.
Yeah.
Anything like studio wise or maybe smaller that you're just looking to kind of work through inspiration wise?
Yeah, absolutely. Currently working on a studio, my studio work. There's going to be a collection called Paralyzed. And it's really just an expression of what I've been through the past, 6 months or so, whether that be financially, emotionally, focusing on like mental health. And you can pull up one of the pieces. It's on my Instagram of a gentleman with a green hue on his face. But it's very, I'm going to put a heavy emphasis on, I guess, anxiety and fear and what happens when that takes over your headspace, and again, how paralyzing that can be. And on the flip side, how beautiful it is to let that go. And that's where you're going to kind of see that the brighter colors on the face. And I guess the fear and the anxiety would be like the muted tones in the background. And so there's going to be a series of portraits like this, and it'll be my first collection as an artist, a studio artist. And I'm really excited about it to kind of explore this different style, and I guess kind of focus on my own mental health, and try to let go of some of that anxiety that you have as an artist and as somebody who I guess could be in the spotlight such as I am. I felt like after my accident, like I had to come out of the gates running, and people were expecting like, oh, I used to get this comment all the time. They'd say, man, I bet this is going to do wonders for your art when I broke my hand. And I was like, I felt all this pressure to just be like super dope afterwards.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I was just like buried under all of this anxiety and fear because I couldn't do what I used to do. And I felt this huge block, like creative block, where I just felt like I couldn't create. And I don't know, I'm excited to slowly let go of those feelings and put them on a canvas.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that portrait is beautiful. So I'm excited to see more of that vein. And also, I mean, obviously that's it's very relative to your personal story and like your struggle and your anxiety, but that I feel like the timing of it is like very well timed. It'll translate to a wide audience because like we just said, last year was rough. It's still rough. A lot of people are really getting in touch with mental health in a way that maybe they haven't before, whether it's them personally or loved ones, just on this wider scale for so many reasons. So I think that's a really well-timed project in terms of it being like received by the wider public. So that's really exciting.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's about all I have to ask. Inez, do you have any questions?
No, everything was really awesome. You are super inspiring. And I mean, as an artist myself, it's so amazing to hear these stories. Like I just empathize so much with you, and like I don't know what I would do if I got injured for that part, and like I can see how debilitating it can be, and you are so inspiring to keep working through it. And like the art you're making is truly amazing, and I am so excited to keep in touch and like continue to see where this series evolves, and like where your murals go and where your art goes. And like if I travel the world and get to see your murals all over the world, I'll definitely be taking pictures and be like, wow, I got to talk to her once, because you
Yeah.
really are inspiring a lot of people, and I am one of them. So it was an honor to get to chat to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you for meeting with us.
Thank you so much, you guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, well, I guess that's it.
Have a
Have a good
day,
rest of your day.
Chelsea.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.